Dylan, Vinny, and Dan enter the house, each carrying heavy boxes, their steps a bit labored as they place them down near the door. Dylan takes a deep breath, surveying the mess of packed belongings around them.
3 months ago, if you had told me I'd have a long-lost brother who's a musician moving into my town, I would have looked at you like you were a Nurse Ratched patient. But now, you still can't quite believe it.
You still can't believe it, huh? Trust me, I couldn't believe it either. I thought long-lost brothers only showed up in soap operas.
They move another set of boxes, their camaraderie light but edged with the weight of change.
So, any plans what you'll do with the money you got from selling your house?
Well, I was thinking I'd climb the tallest building, fighting some criminals, and put it all in a suitcase. Or, just buy a pool table.
All right, Mr. Smarty Pants, that was a serious question. I mean, you're already rich. Your Spotify streams are through the roof, and your concerts sell out in 5 minutes flat. How about you help those less fortunate?
Yeah, we do all right for money, thanks.
Not you. We know your online businesses are killing it. I mean, Dylan helping his special friend Lillian.
Does she need help? Vinny hesitates for a moment, then leans in slightly.
And look, you didn't hear it from me, but her son Sergio's dorm just got flooded. She's been down there trying to find him somewhere to stay, but there are thousands of students in the same boat. The rents are sky high now.
Only the richest will be able to afford them.
Well, why didn't she ask me? I would have bailed them out.
Well, maybe she didn't want you to see her as helpless, in need.
Or she's just trying to prove to Destiny's Child that she can survive. Strong, independent woman and all that.
Next thing you know, she'll be singing Bills, Bills, Bills.
They all laugh lightly, but their tones shifts as the door opens. Lillian walks in, her face lined with stress, a phone in one hand and a bag slung over the other. She looks distracted, barely noticing the boxes piled around the room. Hey, what's up? Dylan straightens up, trying to keep his tone casual. I was just wondering how Sergio's doing at college.
He's fine. Why do you ask?
Oh, I don't know. I miss hearing you talk about him. I was thinking maybe I could visit him this weekend. Spend some bonding time together. Lillian's expression hardens slightly. She glances away, clearly uncomfortable. He can't. He's busy with his girlfriend and friends.
Well, surely he sees them all the time. I can make some time for Dylan.
Look, he's busy. He hasn't got the time.
Lillian's phone suddenly rings, cutting through the tense air. She turns away to answer it, her voice dropping to a whisper.
Hi, what? Is he okay? All right, keep me posted. No, just stay with him.
She hangs up, her face pale. Vinny steps forward, frowning with concern.
Is everything all right?
Lillian's eyes glisten, but she forces a shaky smile, trying to keep it together.
Sergio's in the emergency room. He fainted.
Is he okay?
Yes, everything's fine. I can't handle this right now.
She turns it back to the group, her hand covering her mouth as she fights back her emotions. Dylan exchanges a worried glance with Dan and Vinny, then subtly gestures for them to follow him. They quietly step out of the room, moving into the kitchen. The three men gather around the counter, their voices hushed as they try to figure out their next move. Dylan leans against the counter, running a hand through his hair, his worry palpable.
She's barely holding it together. We need to do something, man. She's not going to let you help her directly. Maybe there's another way to take the load off her shoulders.
There's always a way to help someone, even if they don't ask for it.
Dylan stands against the counter, nodding with a resolute expression, determination setting in. He knows he can't just stand by and watch Lillian struggle. Dan, get your FBI friend to look at Lillian's bank records. Vinny blinks in surprise, leaning forward slightly.
What? You think she might be in trouble?
Well, with her trying to find an apartment for Sergio, possible medical bills, tuition fees, and let's be real, you paying her Peanuts. I'd say she's in deeper than she's letting on.
I do not pay her peanuts. We'll believe that when we see your bank records.
Dan pushes himself off the counter, already pulling out his phone to make a call.
Vinny, make some calls. See if you can find Sergio an apartment for when he gets out of the hospital. Dick here will cover whatever it costs.
Couldn't put it better myself.
Except you didn't. Someone had to take charge.
Dylan rolls his eyes but doesn't argue. Vinny chuckles and pulls out his phone, scrolling through his contacts.
I know a buddy over at Harvard. He's got the inside scoop on apartments around town. Give me an hour.
Dylan nods, his mind already spinning with more ideas. He glances towards the living room, where Lillian is still quietly on the phone. Okay, and get April and Veronica to take Lillian to a spa for the weekend. She needs to unwind. Maybe this will help her relax. Vinny chuckles, dialing his friend as Dan walks towards the door, ready to get in touch with his FBI contact. Dylan's expression softens for a beat as he looks back towards where Lillian is standing, concern heavy in his eyes. He knows they need to help her, but before she gets swallowed by the weight of it all.
Hey, buddy, you know of any open spots around Harvard? It's an emergency.
Dylan, lost in thought, leans against the counter again, steeling himself for what's ahead. Lillian sits at a small table with April and Veronica. The atmosphere is tense, three women sipping coffee. Veronica pulls out her checkbook, scribbles a figure, and slides the check across the table towards Lillian. Lillian's eyes glance down, but she quickly pushes it back.
I told you, I'm not taking anyone's money. I can figure this out.
Veronica sighs, folding her arms, her expression firm.
Lillian, I own over 20 businesses across the country. My husband owns 3. My daughter owns 6. We can afford to hand you this money, so please just take it.
Lillian slides the check right back to her, resolute.
No.
April shifts uncomfortably, then leans forward, her voice softer.
At least come with us to the spa. It'll help you get your mind off things. Who knows, a new idea for getting out of this might just pop up while you're relaxing.
Lillian shakes her head, her jaw set.
I stood on my own 2 feet for 18 years. I'm not about to stop now. Life can throw all the rocks it wants, but I'll keep standing tall and proud.
Veronica rolls her eyes and leans back, crossing her legs.
Honey, quit being so stubborn. It helps no one in the long run.
April brightens up as a thought crosses her mind.
How about this? You earned some money working here. We could pay you $50 an hour.
Lillian pauses, her expression softening slightly, but before she can respond, Veronica jumps in.
Wait, did you ask our special friend for help with Sergio's housing or hospital bills? Or don't tell me you didn't. Lillian!
Lillian stiffens, her defenses rising.
I am not anyone's burden.
April gives her a knowing look, leaning in closer with a smirk.
But he cares about you. You two have a sweet thing going on. I mean, you slept together last weekend.
Lillian's face flushes instantly, her eyes darting away. She tries to mask her embarrassment, but it's too late.
No comment.
Veronica raises an eyebrow, surprised.
Oh, that was a shot in the dark. You did?
Move on. April giggles, enjoying the moment.
Good or bad? Good. But that's all you're getting from me.
April and Veronica exchange amused glances, but the mood sobers again quickly.
He'll want to help you, Lillian. You know he will.
Lillian's face hardens, her eyes flashing with the weight of past experiences.
And then what? He uses that help to control me? My ex was like that. I'm not going down that road again.
April reaches out, her voice gentle.
Lillian, there's no honor in being stubborn. Sometimes you just gotta let people who love you help you.
Lillian stands, her expression firm, but there's a flicker of vulnerability beneath the surface.
I am letting you help me by paying me $50 an hour to work here. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got work to do. Bye.
With that, Lillian walks away, her shoulders squared, leaving April and Veronica watching her, a mixture of admiration and concern on their faces.
If you're enjoying this episode of The Amazing Dylan Hendrix, don't forget to subscribe to That Love podcast on your favorite listening platform. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Dylan sits comfortably on the plush leather couch, casually leaning back. His face is calm but determined as he speaks with Johnson, the firm's lead lawyer, who sits across from him looking stunned.
You want me to transfer your newly bought house to your housekeeper, Lillian?
I can always buy another house, but I can't buy the relationship I have with her. Johnson straightens his glasses, clearly trying to wrap his head around the situation.
Mr. Hendrix, the house cost $5 million.
Yeah, and I made that in 2 tour dates. Johnson stares at him, visibly uncomfortable, flipping through the paperwork before glancing up.
I must say, this is highly... I can't in good conscience advise you to do this. It's unethical.
Dylan leans forward, locking eyes with Johnson, his voice soft but steady. It's not about ethics. It's about what matters. You see, money comes and goes, but love, it's the kind of thing you can't put a price tag on. He pauses, his tone deepening slightly as his gaze drifts off, a hint of emotion slipping through. And if I'm being honest, I think I've been feeling it for her for a long time now. Johnson blinks, taken aback by the sudden personal revelation, while Dylan, lost in thought, leans back against the couch, a faint smile playing on his lips. The scene is tense. Vinny, April, and Veronica stand with 5 irate staff members surrounding them, their faces a mix of frustration and confusion. Vinny listens, arms crossed, then finally holds up a hand to end the conversation. All right, I'll handle it. He turns and strides toward the kitchen, frustration mounting. As he pushes through the swinging door, the atmosphere inside the kitchen is chaotic but orderly under Lillian's ironclad control. Like a one-woman army, she's everywhere at once. Cleaning, cooking, barking orders, cutting vegetables with precision. The staff stand off to the side, almost afraid to step in. Enough! That's enough! I'm working, Vinny. Unless you want to join me back here, I'd stay out of my way. Vinny's jaw tightens, but Lillian keeps moving, slicing a tomato as if her life depended on it. And that's exactly the problem. You're working too hard. I beg your pardon? Veronica enters the kitchen, shaking her head as she observes the chaos. What he means, darling, is you're doing the work of 5 people all on your own. My staff feels useless because of you. Lillian finally pauses, knife in hand, giving Veronica a hard look. It's not my fault if they can't keep up. A restaurant runs on efficiency, not laziness. Lillian, get out of my kitchen, now. I still got 5 orders to make. I've got to cut all the vegetables, wipe the surfaces, and clean the staff room, and the walk-in freezer. Honey, they're no longer your responsibility. Lillian stops mid-cut, her eyes narrowing. She turns to Vinny. And why's that? I can't believe I'm about to quote the tyrant, but here goes, Lillian. Sweetheart, you're fired. Gasps ripple through the kitchen. The staff members at the door, now spectators, start clapping. A few even giving sarcastic whoops. Lillian stands frozen, shock turning to visible hurt. April steps forward, her expression soft but firm. We're sorry, Lillian, but working in a restaurant requires teamwork. You're against that. It was never going to work. Lillian blinks hard, pulling off her apron. She folds it carefully, then tosses it on the counter. Veronica steps forward, pulling out a check, but Lillian strides past her without even a glance. She'll be back. Lillian stops at the door, turning with a hard look. Damn right I'll be back. I actually need that money. In one swift motion, she snatches the check from Veronica's hand and walks out without another word. The door swings closed behind her, silence in the kitchen deafening. The staff shift awkwardly, unsure of what just happened. Vinny stares after Lillian for a moment, then turns back to the stunned kitchen staff.
Well, what are you waiting for? Get back to work.
The kitchen erupts into action, but the mood is noticeably heavy. Vinny watches them hustle, rubbing the back of his neck, clearly affected by what just happened. Lillian storms out of the restaurant, frustration clear in her rigid steps as she heads towards her battered old car. Once there, she pauses, hands shaking with emotion as she pulls out the check from her handbag. Her eyes widen as she reads it. $250,000 signed by Dylan Hendrix. Utterly shocked, she fumbles for her phone and dials Dylan's number. It rings but goes straight to voicemail.
Hey, it's Dylan. Leave a message or, better yet, text me.
Lillian sighs in frustration, hanging up and staring at the check, still in disbelief. Lillian's rundown car chugs up the grand driveway, past the open gates leading to Dylan's house. Her eyes widen as she notices colorful balloons and party decorations lining the path. She spots a brand new car wrapped in gift paper, complete with balloons tied to it. Her gaze travels further to the house's front door, which is covered in wrapping paper like a giant present. A man dressed in a butler's uniform stands by the door holding a silver plate. On the plate rests a single key. Lillian parks her car, her legs shaky as she steps out. Moments later, Vinny's car pulls up behind her. Vinny, Dan, Veronica, and April emerge, watching her with amused smiles. The butler approaches Lillian.
Ma'am, the locks on this house have been changed. You'll need this key to unlock the door.
Lillian, still bewildered, picks up the key, her hand trembling. As she turns towards the house, Veronica speaks up. Well, aren't you going to invite us in? Or are we just strangers now?
Well, that would be the decent thing to do.
Lillian, her eyes welling up with tears, turns briefly to them, but instead of answering, she walks toward the front door. She inserts the key into the lock, hesitating for just a moment before turning it. The door swings open, revealing Dylan inside, sitting on the couch with his laptop open. Welcome home. On the laptop screen is a live video chat, Sergio, her son, smiling brightly from his hospital bed. Mom, I'm out of the hospital. It was just a minor panic attack. And get this, Dylan paid all my hospital bills. He's also paying for my apartment for the rest of the school year. And he's covering my tuition. You don't have to worry anymore. Lillian's hand flies to her mouth in shock, tears streaming down her face. And in case you haven't noticed. Dylan clears his throat gently, gesturing for Sergio to stop. Lillian Garcia, you are the most beautiful woman I have ever known. Watching you struggle trying to figure out how to pay for Sergio's tuition, his apartment, his medical bills, it hurt me. You've carried so much on your own for so long, and you shouldn't have to. He takes a step closer to her, his voice soft but firm. You deserve to be cared for. You deserve a home where you can stand on your own 2 feet and take care of the people you love. It's my honor to transfer this house to you, if you'll allow it. I'd love to be one of those people you care for. Without thinking, Lillian rushes forward and kisses Dylan, a passionate kiss fueled by relief, gratitude, and love. The room seems to freeze for a moment, then bursts into quiet murmurs and laughter.
Should we give you two some space? I mean, I'm loving the show, but this is it's getting kind of gross.
Shut up, it's romantic.
Just as Dylan pulls Lillian closer, his hands landing on her waist, April looks away, then grimaces.
Okay, now I'm gonna puke. Into a bag, please.
All right, we're leaving. This is clearly that moment.
Yeah, see you in a few days. Or maybe not.
We're not seeing them for a few days, guaranteed.
I'm still here. Yeah, I should probably hang up now. With a click, Sergio logs off. The door clicks shut behind Vinny, Dan, and the others, leaving Lillian and Dylan alone. Lillian stares at Dylan, her eyes filled with gratitude and love. Without a word, they kiss again, deeper this time, until the laptop teeters off the couch and crashes to the floor with a loud thud. But neither of them noticed. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Amazing Dylan Hendrix. All the characters are voiced by me, Emerson Peary. The show was written, produced, and edited by Joao Nasita. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with family and friends and make sure to subscribe to That Love Podcast wherever you listen. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day wherever you are.